welcome back to Real Estate of Mine. I'm Jamie Austin, your host here. And today we have a very special guest, Danielle Mapes, who is the head pipeline coach of the Real Estate Prescription. I got to be a little selfish here. I discovered her on Instagram and my life has never been the same. So Danielle, welcome to the show. Very, very happy to have you.
Thank you. Thank you. My life has never been the same either. Every time we get a student into the program, it's like our bubble grows just a little bit more. And every time it grows, it's just full of like love and support and friendship. And I love it.
100%. And I got to say, before we get into the questions about Danielle, which I loved her story, she's one of those people that when it's really hard, I think, to come across really authentically sometimes on Instagram and social media when you're also like building your business, right? But there was just something about Danielle that kind of pierced through that veil that made me feel comfortable enough to pick up the phone and reach out. And so I'm so glad I did. But what I loved about Danielle was her personal story, because I've always been using this podcast, as a platform to empower women, really. Mm-hmm. And what I love about it is like people's lives have been messy. My friends used to tease me, oh my God, how many jobs has Jamie Austin had? It's like a joke. But I'm like, but every one of those experiences has led me to who I am today and what I'm doing today and what I bring to the table. And that's Danielle in a nutshell as well. So if you don't mind, can we jump right in?
Yeah, absolutely. Go for it.
I love it. So I wanted to say, the reason why I bring this up is because I think a lot of women go through a lot of changes, divorce with kids, losing homes, buying homes. And I think there's sometimes a mystery or a veil around it. Like, is there too much fear for me to move forward? And so what I want to ask you is like, do you think that women have sort of this pressure, this undue pressure to appear and look really strong, even though they are literally going through one of the most uncertain times of their lives?
I think that a lot of women probably do feel that pressure, but I have to say that what I've learned is that you're never going to have certainty in your life. You're never going to have certainty. It's a fallacy to think that you're going to be able to project and keep everything stable all the time. This is a world where everything's always in motion. So for me, I just feel like when I really blossomed as a woman and as a mother and as a life partner was when I started to realize that there's nothing to truly be afraid of. Right?
I love that.
Yeah. And to really integrate like what I want to accomplish with what's actually going on right now, keeping my desires strong, but also embracing the present moment, no matter how messy it is.
I started to say messy.
No matter how
you got to embrace the mess.
It's a process. Life is a process. And I think when kids especially watch you go through that process, I think the pressure really comes from us being mothers, to be honest with you. I think that when we are mothers, we feel that pressure to always make sure that we're setting an example. And
absolutely.
Yeah. And so if it weren't for the kids, I probably would feel a little less pressure. But I've also come to realize that, they're watching me. And their lives are going to be uncertain as well. They're going to get into sticky situations as well. And watching me go through it is going to give them power. It's not going to take away. It's actually going to give them tools for their future.
Well, that's actually leads into the next question. Like, as a mom, our jobs and your job to provide sort of that stability and, that sense of safety, right? But how are you able to do that and at the same time go through the messiness of your personal life while you're rebuilding your own life?
So, I grew up in messiness, but I grew up in messiness that didn't get fixed. So I always made it my life's mission to display messiness honestly, right? And not to overreact to the messiness of life, but to be honest about it, to be honest about pressures, honest about failures, honest about mistakes. And so for me, I just see it as a journey and a process that it doesn't matter what situation you're in. There's always a way to step back, take a look at it and go, I almost step out of myself. Honestly, like I step out of myself and I look at the situation almost like it's a sitcom. It kind of makes me chuckle, like, how the hell did we get here? But then I also think that it helps you see clearly. And so to me, I think that,
Well, it's perspective,
yeah,
right? Being able to separate and step
yeah,
back.
being
It's
able to
perspective.
step out, it kind of it takes the emotions out for a second and the defensiveness and all of that. So I don't know if I answered your question, but
Yeah, you did.
I just think that we have to embrace reality for what it is and be honest about it. And yeah, we want the kids to not, they don't need to feel the emotional pressure, but to understand that there
Right.
is pressure present and that we're human beings as well. And I think that,
100%.
yeah, that gives them inspiration for the future.
Absolutely. And that kind of leads into, so you went through a divorce, that I know, but what do you think is one of the biggest misconceptions that just people in general have about divorce, and then like taking that sort of like your bootstraps up, like I mean, you still got to show up for your kids every day. You still got to work. You still got to, unless you're fortunate enough to, like not have to do that. But again, I don't know that that's fortunate or unfortunate. Sometimes I think it's just an is, right? We're dealt with what we deal with and then we move on. So what do you think is the biggest misconception about someone that is going through or has been through a divorce?
I don't know. I mean, I think every situation's different, but I think for me, what I've learned is that when you get to that point where you're making such a major decision, at some point, it almost becomes not a choice. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I think that that's a
Yeah.
big misconception is that there's a choice in the matter. And I am not saying that, I'm not saying marriage isn't worth staying in. I absolutely think it is. But I also think that you do get to a point where you realize if, and for me, the point was, I don't want my children living in a relationship like this in their lives. I wouldn't wish it on them. That would be the last situation I would want them to find themselves in. And when I
Yeah.
realized that, it was like a light bulb went off and I said, "Oh, I don't have a choice. I've been trying to
Yeah.
stay, but I don't have a choice. I have to leave, and it's because I want better for them, and if I don't get better for me, they're not going to get better for them."
Bingo.
And so,
Bingo.
yeah, and I'm not going to, I'm not going to paint a butterfly and roses picture, guys. Like there when you
No.
when you have to
It's hard
reset.
stuff.
Oh yeah, especially when you have children, I feel like what a lot of women end up doing is they end up hodgepodging their income because they're pulled in two directions. They want to be an independent woman who
Yeah.
contributes, but they also want to be there emotionally to provide that stability and that care. And I think that we, as women, we do tend to try and balance multiple things at once. And so what happens is we are financially set back from the men. And I will tell you that real estate is critical for anyone who wants to level up over time. I mean, hands down, real estate is the thing that probably saved my butt.
I love that. And that actually leads into the question, like, so when you went through the divorce and, money was tight, you were having to work things out with your kids and all that good stuff. When you were finally able to buy your home, what did doing that do? What did that heal and prove within you?
Okay, so I've bought and sold many homes.
Uh-oh, the glasses have come
Glasses
off.
are coming off. Get ready.
Seriousness now.
I have bought and sold many homes over the years. And I would say that it's funny because my first home, I remember it being like just this feeling of excitement, right? And I bought that home with my husband. And I remember it was more about like decorating it, making it my own place. It was a very 20-year-old kind of energy to it, even though I wasn't quite 20, but it was a 20-year-old energy to it. It was like dating this new experience. And that's
Right.
then there's been a middle part of real estate where it was like buying and selling to trade up, buying and selling to trade up, which, by the way, any of you that are listening right now that do not currently own homes, my best advice for you is don't wait for your dream home. Get into something you can manage now and let the time do the heavy lifting and trade up, trade up, trade up. That's how you do it.
I say that all the time. That's always the advice. If there's any way you can get in,
Get
get
in.
in.
Yeah. So there was that middle part. And I will tell you that for me now that I have gone through the time, and I'm going to give everyone a little saying here that really, really helped me when I was in darker, more unstable places, especially trying to rebuild my life with limited resources. Time is the greatest sifter. Don't rush the process. Problems don't get solved. Big problems don't get solved overnight. So understand
Right.
that it's a journey and a process and let time do its work. Just make sure you're moving in the right direction. But to answer your question, when I finally got to a place where I am in a home that it feels like safety to me. I've arrived to a place where I could see myself staying, and it provides the nurturing to my soul that I desire. And that to me feels like a mature 40-year-old energy of like arrival in my own skin, right? And there is a
Right.
really sweet taste to that kind of victory.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. That makes total sense. The safety thing is very different. And it's like, I think even that kind of leads into the last question that we'll ask. Like, did you ever grieve that part of your life that you thought you were or that you were building for? And at the same time, being grateful for the life that you are building.
You know,
The two things I think can exist simultaneously, but I'm curious as to your take on it.
I totally think they can exist simultaneously. For me, I might be a little bit of an odd duck here, but I think it's helped me in that regard. Is that for me, when I'm done, I'm done. When I know a situation is no longer the direction I want to take my life, I make peace with that quite quickly, and then I
Yep.
just move forward. So for me, I
Yep.
don't have a ton of grief. I will say that the messiest part of being a woman and raising children and building your own life, and when it does lead to divorce, the biggest consequence is actually the kids, right?
Yeah, of
But
course.
I've
Yeah,
also
100%.
yeah, and so the going back and forth and the, never feeling like you're your own person. You either belong to mom or belong to dad at this moment in time. And
Right.
so I really try to take pressure off of that because that's not a fair thing to put them through. But I'm also very real with myself that, you know, there were two choices there. The one choice was something that to me was not even a choice. It wasn't an option. It's if I want better for my kids, I got to get better for me now because that will be the thing that allows them to get better for them. And so I knew, okay, we're moving into this period of time where honestly, the pain for the kids was a little more than I even thought it would be of
Right.
not existing in one cohesive
But I
place.
also think the pain it grows. I mean, I'm a product of divorced parents as well. My parents divorced when I was very early. I think my mom was a single mom as well for a while. And then she really realized if I stay in this situation, it's untenable.
Yeah.
So, period.
Yeah.
So, my kids will feel how miserable I am. I don't want to pass that on to my kids. So, I'd rather get out now. I know some people make different choices and they stay in it, they think, for the kids. But I think over time, the kids suffer more by staying in a loveless marriage that isn't healthy for anybody. And you're also teaching them patterns about, oh, well, I guess it's okay to stay with something that's not healthy
I
and not good.
I could not agree with you more. And that's why it wasn't even a choice for me. So it's like I picked the lesser of two evils, right? In that case. And I think about this quite often. And this is not a question you asked me, but I think it's worth bringing up. I grew up in
Sure.
the same kind of environment, the same kind of situation as what you're describing. And I believe that that's what led me to maybe not pick the best relationships. So for me, my
Sure.
goal in my life was how can I find myself in a situation where I can demonstrate visually and emotionally to my children, this is how it should feel. This is how you do it. And so, it's funny because there are people that will be out there saying, well, why can't you just be a single independent woman? You don't need a man. Guess what? I totally agree with you, but I want a man and I want the right man and I want a healthy relationship because it's important to me to break the cycle.
It's whatever you want,
Mhm.
right? And whatever you want, I decided the same. I've been married a couple of times, but by the time I finally really honed in adult wise into what I really wanted and needed in my soul, I found it. And I wasn't necessarily looking for it, but I think and then I also have friends that are like later in life and they're going, you know what? I don't need that
Mhm.
relationship to fulfill me, but I have wonderful relationships with men and women and I'm happy as a clam just being by myself. There's no judgment here. I think you
Mhm.
just have to get really clear about what it is you really want. And sometimes the things I can honestly tell you, the person I married at 28, which was my first husband, it's not even the same person. So like you do grow and you do
Mhm.
evolve, right? And so your needs and wants and desires change over time. And I think that's absolutely natural and logical and part of evolution, right?
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think I've been thinking a lot about, the legacy I want and the message that I want to pass on to not just kids, but also women, other women out there.
Mm.
And it comes down to two things for me. It's get clear on your vision and follow your passion and get into real estate in some form or fashion. Like
Yeah.
buy where you live, buy your property, buy where you live. Just make that a goal of yours because it's going to provide you with some financial stability that as women we really need. And then the
Yep.
second thing is pick the right person. And that's a double-edged sword to say because I think about my daughter all the time and I think about, is she going to be so picky because of that message that she's going to expect someone to be perfect all the time? And I was reflecting on it this morning and I really truly feel I'm with the right person right now. And the way that I know that is number one, we bounce back from conflict. We don't just have the same conflicts over and over and over and over again, and we bounce back quicker, we bounce back better as time goes on. And I can
There is a thing called learning how to fight healthily, right? You have to bounce back from
you because
conflict.
there's always going to be some level of conflict. That's what happens when two individuals are
Sure.
together. But I can see that we are growing together as a couple
Yeah.
because and that's really so if I had a message to children or to women out there who are interested in this topic, it's don't expect your partner to be perfect and
Uh-uh.
have high standards for your relationship, seek for healthiness, but there's a journey to healthiness as well when you have two individuals in a relationship.
I love it. And that's the nice icing on the cake and the button on the jacket. I don't even know what that saying is. The nice button
It's
whatever.
all
I
good
miss
stuff.
malaprop. I screw them up all the time. My husband has a list of things like two hands in one bush or whatever. They're just nuts. So I mix them all
I
up all the
I
time.
went I was in a very high level real estate room once and I was speaking to a group of like 800 people and instead of saying, two birds with one stone,
One
I
stone.
I said one bird with four stones. And the guy looked
And
at
they're
me
like,
like, "What?"
and lots of extra feathers. That poor bird. Oh my God, that's hilarious. Well, I have two more questions that I ask at the end of every podcast for every guest, just to kind of see a little less about your business and a little more thought-provoking kind of things. So, number one is, what is a house, room, or place that when you went in, it changed the direction of your life forever?
So this one was really hard for me to answer. And the answer that I came up with was actually the outdoors.
Oh,
Yeah. So for
I love
me,
it.
I think of like the most transformational moments for me. And I think about the places
Yeah,
where my ideas were hatched. And these are,
outdoors is a place.
yeah, but it's very
Yeah.
specific outdoors. It's very
Mhm.
country that it's like, you have a sprawl of land and you've got a tree line and a sunset. And there's something that happens to me in those spaces where I feel a sense of peace and harmony and I get clarity. And that's my compass. That's my northern star. So for me, there's a few places I can think of that have brought that sense of peace to me. And my life has kind of just edged its way towards those places at this point.
I love it. I love it. There's a reason why they say connect with nature, take your shoes off and actually connect
Yes.
with Mother Earth. Get your feet, go barefoot. There is something to that for sure. And I have sat in the middle of a redwood grove. I blown away by the stillness. I didn't speak for hours. It was amazing. I just was like, whoa, these things have been around for centuries and centuries. And it just kind of reminds you of just, how infantile we are and how amazing nature really is. The last question for you is, are you in your forever home? And if you are, tell me how you know that. And if you're not, maybe the better question is, what's the next chapter that you are building towards?
So I do think that I am in my forever home. And the reason why is because of the outdoor space. Okay. So the
Oh,
reason
okay.
why I bought this house and the reason why I moved away from it and came back, I held it while I
Oh,
moved away and then I ended up coming back. And it's because we've got some acreage. We have a pond. We have a tree line. My kids always laugh at me because when the sun's going down, I tell them I could see the dinosaurs starting to emerge from the forest. Like, I'm like, oh,
I
there's a
love it.
giraffe, But it's just this beautiful, like, Lion King moment for me where it's like everything the sun touches. And I love
Love
this
it.
land. It's one of those outdoor spaces for me that just really makes me feel at peace. That's the best way
Love
I could say it. However, I am not done with my adventures. So
Whoa.
I think this will be the forever home, but I also think that we're going to be a little vagabondish once the kids are gone. I think we're going to go
Yeah.
and explore some other natural spaces and just see what else is
Yeah.
out there.
And you can just keep adding to forever homes. I think homes could be plural
Yeah.
too. Places at different that feed you at different times and whatever. My husband and I talk about that as well. So I love that idea. Well, thank you so much for taking your time. I know you're a very busy lady and it was wonderful. And I think the message overall that, we just like to say is it's really about empowering yourself, getting to know yourself. And that's whether you're male or female, but whatever the case, just ask yourself the tough questions about getting to know what it is you really want and taking the time to stop and focusing a little bit on that. I think sometimes life can get very busy. We could get very stressed out about work, family, relationships, just living. And I think sometimes we forget, and I have to tell myself this as well, stop, slow down, and be intentional about our time with ourselves and with everyone else that we run across.
Yeah,
So
especially
thank you, Danielle.
yeah, yeah.
Yep, thank you so
You're
much.
very
Tell
welcome.
us how we can find you.
Oh, so you can find me by simply looking up therealestateprescription.com. So we've got a few resources out there that are free for y'all to dip into. We have a Facebook group called Data Driven Real Estate Agents Models for Success. And if you start to explore some of those free resources, there are lots of opportunities at that point to go ahead and book a call with anyone on our team and see how we can help you with your real estate business.
I love it. And we will also have a little slide with Danielle's information at the end of it. So hang on. Thank you so much, everybody, for tuning into Real Estate of Mind today. We hope we gave you a little bit of nugget of some information that you can walk away with. And if there is a topic that we haven't quite covered, why don't you DM us and let us know. And if we don't have it, by gosh, I'll go find somebody for you that can speak to it. And we love having you. So tune in for next time at Real Estate of Mind. Jamie Austin, we'll see you next time.